Hello, hello. I have to put some lotion on my hands. Okay, so if you're watching this later, I will in the pinned comment put the point where the sort of actual content starts. So I'm not just greeting everybody because I always want to greet everybody. So if you are here, tell me where you're from, what you're drinking. I'm coming to you from Vancouver Island, and I am in Canada, which is where Vancouver Island is. I don't know. I like things to be centered. Yes. Okay. And I am drinking some delicious tea from Murchie's. This one is, I think it's Stormwatcher or Rocky Mountain. I literally cannot tell the difference between the two, but they're both delicious. So, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here today. We're going to be chatting about the Clear It Out Challenge, which is going to be so great. It's just a free challenge I'm just doing on YouTube. And really, I'm challenging myself. Like, I'm going to be going through my stuff for the next month. It's a maintenance clean for me because I've fully decluttered my house years ago, but it still has to happen. So, hello, Meg from Saskatchewan. Just finished her coffee. Need to fill my water glass. Good for you. This is my second cup of tea. It's been a crazy morning. Diana is from California drinking coffee. Wood burning warrior from Virginia. Kate, Florida. Meow from San Diego. The other side of who from Germany has no drinks. Betty Mann from Indiana. I guess in Germany would it be like 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock? Hello from, did I say 9? I meant 6 or 5. But no, it would be 6 or 7. Anyway, I don't remember the time zone there. Hello, Lindsay. My Loving with Intention friend is here. She's my relationship coach friend. And I'm so glad everybody's here. Kentucky, heading to my chiropractor appointment. Got you in my ear. Love it. Vanilla premier shake. And brown sugar chocolate chip creamer. That sounds delicious. San Diego, a very warm. Oh my gosh. I heard it gets really hot there in like September, October. That area. What is going on with this light? Oh, my light's unplugged. Hold on. I'm falling down here, you guys. Well, I guess I just won't be lit from that side because I don't know where the end of the plug is. I don't like when my lighting is bad, but it's fine. It's fine. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so excited. It is like my favorite month, and that is October. Oh, I love it. My husband and I got married in October 20 years ago. Our anniversary is coming up fast. And we made this thing where and you tell me your favorite, the villages in Florida. I love it. And I'm like looking at all of your things. I'm just not saying them all now, but we came up with this thing. We did not like summer then. Like we would say, Jewel January, which believe me, is not my favorite. I'm not a big January person anymore. And Marvelous March. And then we were like, I can't even remember what October was. Outrageous October or something like that. But we were like, ugh, August. Times change as you get older, and your hormones are like, no, we're 100% going to be needing the sun. To the point where we live on Vancouver Island, but it is so cloudy that in the winter, like rainy and cloudy, it's cloudy today. That it just like really messes with you mentally. So I'm like, sometimes we're like, maybe we should move to Alberta. Calgary, sunniest place in Canada. I'm just saying. Anyway, oh my gosh. Okay, so you guys, I'm really excited for us to chat about the Clear It Out Challenge, which is just a thing that I suggested to some fellow YouTube friends. And I said, like, let's encourage people to really declutter this month. And for me, I need to do a maintenance declutter on my own house. And, and I frequently am gathering stuff to discard. I mean, I am just a person who still like I live with people, they buy stuff. Um, I buy stuff and we use things, we stop using things, clothes, like I just did my closet. And I was like, I was actually like, truth be told, I wanted to do a video tour of my house. And I was like, this is not like, this is kind of ridiculous. So then I did a um, declutter tour because I was like, I need to like declutter all of these spaces again. And for me, like, I don't need to go, like, I don't have that much, but still a lot that I can go through. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. So you can just follow along. I'm going to be posting at least one video a week about it. Um, I'll be doing 2 live streams, this one and then one in a couple of weeks. The end of this week, I'm posting a video about my garage declutter because the garage is a room that if you have one, and if you don't have one, you probably have a space like it where it's where either things get stored and or um, it's for temporary storage or for utility, right? And we do need a spot for temporary storage in a lot of cases like, even if you just look at like the basic level of like recycling and garbage, it needs to be stored, hopefully not in the house. Sometimes it has to be, whatever. Um, and but also, like when I harvested all of my garlic, that had to cure, it had to sit somewhere. And we have the space, so it was in the garage, but I let it sit there for a long time. So it's like, but things come, they go. It's like a place where things go before they either come in the house or go. So I tackled that spot because the garage, it's just like a room that is alive and things need to move and they need to not be um, they need to not always be. Um, I always get distracted. Someone decluttered a pet. Oh no. Yeah. So anyway, I lost my train of thought, but that's fine. Let me tell you about the challenge. Okay, so I am going to declutter in my house every weekday in October. So that means 4 days this week, all the way to the last week of October, which I think is 4 days. Because the 1st is a Friday, November 1st is a Friday. So I'm gonna be decluttering every day, and I hope to tackle every room in my house. Um, and this week, I am going to start decluttering the most used areas. So obviously, I am going to start in the kitchen for me. Now, it's funny because I will say, oh, the kitchen is like the most used house, but not necessarily for everybody. Like some people, they don't like cooking or they don't cook or whatever, for whatever reason, it's just not the most used house. For me, it is just like the most used house. It is, you really have to appreciate the hard work that a kitchen puts into most of our houses. So I am going to tackle, that's great, AJ. I am going to tackle in the first week, my kitchen. I'm probably going to do a few days in there. And I am going to do like the main bathroom. There's a few things. So I'm going to tackle those. And, I'm kind of working from most used to least used. But for you, if you're following along, and I highly encourage you to, you might decide to do it differently. And so for me, I am going to go through pretty much my whole house. Now, for you, you might not because perhaps your house has a lot more stuff that you need to simplify and go through. Which is totally fine. But the goal is to work on it every day. And for me, I'm actually only going to put in like 15 to 30-ish minutes a day. I like to treat things as projects, but for me, a project doesn't mean that I'm burning myself out the entire time. It means that I need to be consistent and aware that this is my project for the month. Like I always say, say you were renovating your bathroom, you'd be aware if you weren't on top of having that bathroom, if you weren't working on that. And let's see. I'm sorry, Michelin, that your grandpa died. So for me, I'm doing what is used most to what is to the most hidden spots. And my kitchen is also the cleanest in my house. However, there are still things that I can work on or that I can declutter. And there are a bunch of things in there. Even though I feel like I go through it all the time, there are still a bunch of things that I can let go of. Um, and Dana K. White, she mentions the decluttering, like the food storage containers to snap the lid on and to store things in there. And she said she only has so many so that she doesn't let them stay in the fridge too long. She'll pull them out and clear them out, whatever. And I was looking in my drawer and I thought, oh my gosh, like, why do we have so many food storage containers? The other thing is we have a lot of mason jars now because I've been canning, which are also great food storage container. So I think I might even be able to really shrink that down even more. We'll see. We'll see. Um, hello, Zena. It's great to see you here. I'm going to have a sip of my tea. And we got people from California all over the place. Hello, hello, hello. AJ Vintage says she's going to work on her attic, garage, basement, and junk room, that they need severe decluttering. And you can do it. I highly suggest you just follow along this month. And I've got some YouTube friends that are going to join me. I don't know how consistent they're going to be. I just said to them, I'm going to be posting a weekly video, and I don't know if others are going to manage to get them out that often, but there is going to be a playlist that I'm linking below, and you can just check that out each week or whatever after you watch a video, and there should be more videos on there. And this video is the first one on it. So here is what I think that you need for success during this month. First of all, I have an ebook you can download, which is below this video. It is totally free. And I will be using a lot of the principles in that book. It's like a 20-page book, but very easy to read. Very, very easy to read. It's not just like all text. There's like graphics and whatnot. So I think that when you're looking at decluttering, and AJ says that her fridge could also be decluttered, and yes, like that is a spot that I need to work on, and I am not good at that. I'm not decluttering my canning jars. I'm just saying I have a lot at my disposal. I'm collecting canning jars with food in them. So I think that it's really great to decide on a couple of things. Like I said, I'm starting in the most used areas to the least used areas. Maybe you're just focusing on your kitchen this month or your closet or whatever. I really do suggest not to completely burn yourself out. But wouldn't it be great at the end of the month to have such a lovely decluttered, organized space that you can, cook your meals in, and, when your kids get home from school, it's easy to clean up after them, or it's easy to clean up the house at the end of the night. That would be nice, right? So what I suggest you do, number one, decide the path that you're going to take. So for me, it's like kitchen, main bathroom, like I did the garage already. And then I'm working, main living areas. I'm going to tackle the tea stash, which, it needs to have stuff done. Don't mind Crumpet. He walks around and meows in the morning. So decide on your path. The other thing is then decide on when you plan on decluttering. So for me, I am going to generally be decluttering in the afternoon or evening, and it can be done at any time. The great news about, for me, doing only 15 to 30 minutes is I can fit it in at any time, within reason. And that's the other reason why I'm doing only weekdays, because I know that gives me a bit of wiggle room. Yesterday, I actually went over to Vancouver to see my son because he goes to university there, and it was so lovely. And we just walked around, and we went to coffee shops, and I went and bought him some clothes. And we just hung out. Now, I got home, I was shattered. I was so tired, and I say that what it was September 30th, so that's good. But say it was one of the days in October and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm so tired." Then I could just say, "Hey, I'm just not going to do it this day. I'm going to do it on the Saturday or whatever, or double up some days." Like, the great news about doing something like this is you just like go for it. Um, so your path you're going to take when you plan on doing it. So for me, I'm going to do it weekdays. I'm going to primarily do it in the afternoon or early evening sometime, like when I'm done work, when the kids are home. My kids are teenagers, so they are a lot more independent, and um when they're working on their homework or whatever, I can like go and declutter some spot of the house. And then also, what sort of stuff do you plan on decluttering? So for me, I like to, um, ahead of time, when I'm going to be doing something, like before I did my closet, I recently did my closet. So that's one area I'm not really going to be tackling. There was actually one like cupboard that I missed that doesn't really have a lot of my clothes, but there were a few. And I was like, oh, I could definitely go through this. But what I realized, and like where I said, "Oh, I could go through this," is that I realized that I don't like, things will come to mind and I'll be like, "Oh, I don't really wear that." And I'll be like, "Okay, that I could declutter." So either you could like grab it right away and throw it somewhere, or you could just be like, "When I get to this spot, I know that there are things that I can work on," which is wonderful. Like in the kitchen, there are things where I was like, "Yes, I can definitely get stuff out of there." And even we had family come and visit, and we have like this little coffee maker that makes 1 cup of coffee, and my brother uses it. Um, and I was like, I don't want to store this thing anymore. We do have the room, but I don't like having stuff crammed full. I like to have stuff, um, just sort of like not crammed full, organized. So I was like, we do also have a French press. So he's just going to use that when he comes to visit. He's like the only one. Um, yeah. And go ahead and throw in the chat. Like, people are putting in, like, I need to declutter linen closet, medicine cabinet, pantry. Go ahead and throw that in there. And for me, I also am going to, like, on week 2, I'm going to be decluttering my under my stairs again. I made a video about it like 2 or 3 years ago, and then I made a video about it last year, I think, and somebody's like, "You already did that area," and I'm like, "Yes, and I need to continue to." It's a house that we live in, and things come in and things go, and even, like, under the stairs, my husband put something like a big, like, foam mattress thing that he uses in his car, like, when he goes on trips with my son. Like, they went to the air show and they brought that, and I was like, "Son, you can't be putting that in there." You'll see it in the, video for the, um in the garage, because I was like, "It's better in there." But anyway, it definitely can go through there. I know I will find things. Actually, my big sentimental box is in there. You can participate. And here, this is what I will mention this quickly. This is just a free thing that I am putting on YouTube. I'm just posting videos every week, and then some friends will be participating too. There's a playlist below. But if you really, I suggest that you join our Facebook group, and I'm going to be having posts where we're like, "Hey, what are you doing? What do you like? Share your wins, like post the things that you're doing." So join our Facebook group. It's linked below this video. The ebook, which is free, which gives you tips for how to do it, that is below this video. Join in. It's going to be so, so fun. Um, so anyway, about the stuff, like if you're I love when people say this. I'm decluttering during the live. Yes, people like to work along with the videos, and that is so, so great. So yeah, and like I said, I just will be like, "Oh yeah, like when I go in the linen closet, I think I can get rid of this, or I can get rid of that, or whatever." You don't need to do Facebook. You can just join in. Yeah, a lot of people are like, "I don't do Facebook." Yeah, just watch on YouTube and just be encouraged. The challenge is just to work through it. every day in October. Like I said, I'm only doing weekdays because that gives that little bit of wiggle room. Um, a lot of us, we have kids, we have jobs, so we need that little bit of wiggle room. But I have committed to myself that I will be decluttering for I think it's 23 or 27 days or something. Like that's how many weekdays there are in October. No, this can't be 27. But anyway, I think it's 23. Anyway, yeah, so have an idea of what kind of stuff. Now, the other thing I want to say, and you can get your questions ready and put in the things that areas you're going to work on. I just want to say one more thing about this is that keep in mind, I'm calling this the Clear It Out Challenge. And I strategically planned it for October because it's before the holidays. Now, part of that is that, excuse me, I'm going to mute and clear my throat. Oh, my throat is dry from that travel yesterday on the ferry, a whole hour and 15 minutes to Vancouver and back. Yeah, and this is just like I'm just doing this. Like I'm not even opening my group coaching after this. It's just doing it because I want to encourage you to get your stuff decluttered. And and I love that Karen says she's decluttering her seasonal decorations. That's one of the things that I'm doing under the stairs. Um, and good for you. And I thought like I want to put out my fall decor, but I also want to make sure that I go through some of it. So anyway, um, now, when I call it the Clear It Out Challenge, I'm saying it's before the holidays because quite often, the holidays will come and people want to, they get gifts and they're like, where am I going to put this? Things are crammed shut. Hopefully, there's a little bit of room for those gifts. Now, I am one of those people, I am so torn when it comes to gifts. My husband's love language is gift giving, and Coach Lindsay, who I think is still here, she is all about the love languages. And so, for my husband and my son, gifts are important to them, but gifts can be many things. My husband loves when I bring him home a coffee, right? That can count. But I appreciate a lot of people, gifts are important to them. So if we're aware that gifts might be coming in, it's nice if there's space, but it's also very nice to be aware that we don't have to keep everything. Just because somebody gives it to you doesn't mean you have to keep it. You can be very kind and very nice and be like, I'm just not going to use this or whatever. That's why in my family, quite often people are like, what should I get you for Christmas or whatever? I'm just Christmas and gifts. I honestly, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with it. Now I'm like, let's just have the food and the Christmas shows. Anyway, so, but when I say clear it out challenge and make space for, really what I'm saying is it makes space for living, not just stuff that's coming in. Hopefully not a lot of stuff is coming in. We're making space for living. We're making space to have friends and family come over. Quite often our kids are very busy during the holidays, and it's nice if we're not like managing a house that's full of mess and clutter plus the busyness of life and Christmas decor, holiday decor on top of all of that. Um, so make it, clear it out, and clear it out for life, like beyond the holidays. Life is so much easier when your house is not bringing you down. Life is so much easier. Like for me, I'm busy. I'm a mom. I have a business. I am a nurse, and I don't have a lot of time that I want to devote to managing my stuff at my house. So, this challenge is the perfect time to do that. Um, and exactly, donations to needy groups make wonderful gifts. I love that too. I love that. I am the biggest experience gift person. Now that my kids are older and I've sort of trained them off of my husband's need for giving them huge, wonderful gifts and multiple gifts and just like insanity. People, they're a lot happier with less stuff and more like quality. And for me, I am like, I don't need a lot. I don't need a lot. And yeah, gifts are something. And I have a blog, and I've got a post coming up about gifts that are low or no clutter, and that'll be good. Plus, I've done videos on that. So I think that this is going to be so fun. And truly, it is just about just like doing it together, like just a fun sort of thing we can do. Like I said, this week it's the mostly used areas. Next week it's storage. Somebody said they were working on their pantry. I classify that as storage, food storage. And I posted a video. I think it was the last video I posted last week, and it was about how I have food storage in the basement, and that I don't think like we should be going too far with decluttering, even like our things that truly are for security, like food security. When the pandemic hit, there were huge issues with things, even toilet paper. So I buy my toilet paper at Costco, and I need to buy more. In fact, I'm actually writing it down because I like to have like a little bit extra, not a lot, not like the crazy amount people have, but just enough, like a couple weeks worth, right? In a house like this, you don't want that. And actually, when I told a story in that about when our power went out for 3 days, and some people it was like 9. And just after I made that post, the storm hit the East Coast, and a lot of people were probably still are without power, and it was like really crazy. And for us, like when we lose power because we're on a well, we lose water pressure. So we can't even flush our toilets. So that was rough. Um, and then I was like, oh, I can just flush it by putting water in the tank. Thankfully, there wasn't a septic disaster because apparently the pump needs to be able to pump it out. Anyway, we now have a generator. But my point is that, um, you know, I, with my pantry decluttering, am aware that there are some things that I needed to keep. That was a total tangent that doesn't even really make sense for this, but I was just thinking about how coincidental it was that I had posted that video telling my story and then about my food storage. And a lot of people were like, they were very curious. And I do recommend my friend Allison, who's got This Prepared Life YouTube channel and Instagram. And it's so helpful. Like, with children, like you need to make sure that you have enough water, and for pets, like pet food, all that. um yeah, you don't want I'm telling you, I learned so much during uh that power outage. Mm. Well, you guys, do you have any questions before we wrap it up? I'm used to our live streams going on for much longer, and usually I take a lot more breaks to talk to the chat. So let me just look here. 70 degrees in upstate New York right now. Ooh. And I love seeing all the people saying hi from all over the world, like the Netherlands, Washington State. That's not far. Flavored collagen powder, chocolate. Yeah. My sister-in-law, Colette, who used to join for a lot of live streams, that was during the pandemic because she was working from home. And she has some kind of yummy flavor. I think hers is like cinnamon, her collagen flour or powder. I am so tired. After that trip yesterday, my brain is just like mush. Let's see. No, not the canning jars. Yeah. You're welcome for doing this. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be so fun. Hello, LBCCS. I love when you show up. Clear out expiration dates on. And yeah, and the thing about expiration dates, apparently with like commercially canned goods, it's less important. I don't know. I have a lot less commercially canned foods now that I can my own. But and the other thing is, like, when we clear it out, we just have less to manage, which I mentioned before. And when I say that, I was just thinking about how my garden needs some work done on it because it's starting to get colder and colder. Like, it literally just feels like it just like came overnight, but really, it's been working. Yeah, let's get started. How do you decide what to decanter? Oh, for the pantry. Well, I I'm very excited to be decluttering my pantry again. Um, and I like the look of things in jars. And I also use the little vacuum, like handheld vacuum sealer and a little thing that you put on top of the mason jar that helps you seal it. And it looks good. And it also keeps things fresh way longer than keeping them in the packages because in my house, my family is not great at like closing bags or even like rice. I found rice and oatmeal would get really stale and it was gross. And so I actually find putting those in jars and then just like using the little vacuum sealer is so great because I waste so less. Um, I waste so much less food. And I said that to my husband. Yeah, decanter. What to decanter? Yeah. Do you mean declutter? Not decanter. Oh, I was like, "What?" Yeah, so anyway, food that's gonna go bad. Are you saying what to declutter, Betty? She's like, "Decanter, not decanter." You've said decanter 3 times. Do you mean declutter? We can go over that quickly. How to decide what to declutter. For me, number 1, I have to either really like it and or use it. So when I say really like it, that's what I mean for things like artwork or ornaments. I say ornaments because it occurred to me 5 years ago that in my family, giving ornaments as a gift was like the gift that we gave to people. It was what we did. Um, and I just realized, like at my grandma's house, she was one of those people that had things beautifully set up around her house, and it looked wonderful. Like it just, and it wasn't too much. But okay, so yes, Betty's like declutter. Isn't that funny that it autocorrected that? Anyway, so but it's and even like Dana talks about this, it's like, what's your clutter? What's your threshold? What can you handle? And it's not even like what do you want, but what can you handle? What can you keep clean? My grandma managed to keep a lot clean, but she did have a lot of stuff stored in storage rooms, in boxes. She was one of those people that kept all the boxes for things. So and took very good care of things, which was wonderful. But so if it's an ornament that you like and you leave it out and you appreciate it, that's great. What I will do is I will actually switch some things. Like I have this picture on my desk of my kids and my husband and I love it, but I will swap it out with another one. So that I can still enjoy both photos, but I don't have like a bunch of things around. And I have the space to store that. Sometimes people don't, and maybe you could keep things under the bed um, or wherever if you want to do something like that. But do you like it? And I mean, not just like, oh yeah, I like it, or yeah, I don't want to let it go. But no, I'd much rather have something like that. The other thing is that do you use it? So for my kitchen, when I look in there, I can very easily say, like, I just don't use this. I just never will use this, or I haven't used this. I'd like to use this. I could imagine when I would use this, but I don't think I will. Quite often there are things where something else could take its place. And when we're looking at our house, quite often it's stuff in our living room. Um, and Betty says, I am a widow now and trying to figure out how much to keep. Keep what you're going to use. And the thing is, if your husband has passed away and you don't use, maybe he had a lot of tools. Let's use that as an example. Save a few, like save a hammer, save a screwdriver, save tape measure, things that you will need if you need to make a small repair or whatever. And so set some of that aside, but the rest of it you're not going to need. And you could sell it, you could donate it, you can just let go of it. The other thing is like what somebody else says, like, well, how many linens to keep, sheets, towels, etc. So for me in my house, I keep trying to declutter linens, and that is one of the areas I'm going to work through when I go to the storage section. But I still we're a family of 4 with my son who is in Vancouver, so he's 5, and, there's the guest bed where he sleeps or where my brother sleeps or whatever. So we do still have to have a certain level of things, and there's summer sleeping and then winter sleeping, duvets versus whatever. So you have to keep so much. So one, maybe two sheets per bed that people actually sleep in. Um, and for us, like my kids who live here, I think they only each have one set of sheets. One of them has a set of flannel sheets also. So that's good. So really, and like as for towels, are you the type of person that wants to only have one towel and then do your laundry once a week? I mean, I feel like for me, I like to have a couple of extra towels. We had a flood, which was like extensive. It was $80,000 of damage. Thankfully, the insurance covered it. Our insurance rate did go up, but um, we used a lot of towels that day. And even not that long ago, there was some kind of water mishap and we needed a lot of towels. So it's good to have a couple of extra towels. I realized we have a lot of tea towels and dishcloths. I think we need to go through more of those. But the other thing is go enjoy your Pilates. The other thing is you also don't want to be in the sort of like what I call like laundry day underwear situation where say you only had so many tea towels and then you were out and you had to wash them, but you didn't have any. That is not a good situation to be in either. But you also don't want to be to the point where you have too many things. So I think you've got to decide how often you want to do laundry and then have a little bit of wiggle room. It's like when I go on vacation, I always pack as many socks and underwear for the days will be gone, plus an extra two for each, because then there's wiggle room because you never know, right? Um, and Chris says we have more flood towels than we do bath towels. When you need them, you need them. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you don't necessarily have to keep them in the most accessible location, like just so you can get to them when you need to. So that's like stuff that you use. I think that like truly is like the number one question. The ebook I have goes through a lot more, and it's free. It's down below. The other thing is, do you like it? Does it like just add value to your life in some way? Which is like do you use, do you like it? The other thing is, do you need it? Right? Like, so I was just saying to Betty that, if you were decluttering tools, make sure you're saving a screwdriver, make sure you're saving a hammer. You might not think you'll need them, but those are good things to have. And I'm not I could use it one day situation, but those to me are necessity tools. So hang on to a couple of things. Um, so I would say that's a need to have. You need to have tools for minor repairs. What other things do you need to have? Like I mentioned, the emergency supplies. And I'm a nurse, you may not know, but I have like medical supplies, mostly like bandages and whatnot. But we also have Tylenol, Advil, if somebody spiked like a crazy fever, like our kids are sick. I have anti-nausea medication. That's very important to me. um, Things like that. So things that you need, right? So am I going to declutter my Tylenol because I don't like it? No. Um, and yeah, I think that like those are like the number one important things to do. Any other questions? I'm glad you made it, Chris. Chris is in our Facebook group. I think that it's just so helpful. Like, but really, when I was decluttering the garage, I really was. I kind of went through with the word ruthless in my mind. I am going to be ruthless with um, whether or not I keep something. I don't want to be wishy-washy. And I caught myself a couple times saying like, well, and then I was like, ruthless, be ruthless. The other thing is the 2020 rule. If you can replace it in less than 20 minutes for less than $20, you can go ahead and declutter that for something that you're not using, especially if it's I could use it one day. And people will say to me, well, but that like, is this just for rich people? And it's like, no, Other people have said, I think decluttering is not for poor people. It's like, no, you're getting rid of stuff that you don't use. You're getting rid of stuff that um, you you probably won't ever need. And so the odd chance that you're going to need to replace something. And I've told the story before that I make kombucha in the summer, and then I think it was like last year or the year before, I had decluttered my kombucha jars and bottles because I was like, I'm not going to do it anymore. Well, then I decided I wanted to do it again. So I had to replace those jars. It cost me $30. I probably could have just used like pickle jars or whatever, but I wanted the convenience of just buying like the half gallon, 2 liter jars from home or from Canadian Tire. So I went and got those, but that was it was more like $30, but am I upset that I decluttered those and had to replace them? The only time I've ever had to replace something that I decluttered? No, because I didn't have 6 huge glass jars kicking around my house. So that was helpful. Lesson learned, I won't declutter them again. Um, I've got them like packed away because it's not kombucha season right now, although I might try water kefir pretty quick here. But I I realized like it's okay. Of all the things I've ever decluttered, I haven't needed to replace anything. And yes, it does happen the odd time, but the actual financial cost is going to be probably nothing or maybe $20 or 30 if you're in Canada with the inflation or exchange rate. And so I think that it's just very wise to be aware that the reason why you're decluttering is for a better life. Ultimately, your environment matters, what you surround yourself with matters, and that's what I think. um, Chris said, decluttering is not just for rich people, but I do think that people who grew up in economic challenges may tend to keep things just in case to a larger degree. I totally agree, Chris. I totally agree. And it's just, to me, it's just so interesting that people would say that because I'm like, I almost see it as like, but you deserve to live in a clean home. You deserve to live in a decluttered, like a space that isn't surrounded by a bunch of stuff. And I totally get scarcity. I grew up with, parents that didn't have a lot of money. My dad didn't get like, or he got a really, not a really good job. He got a good job for a middle class family when I was like 13. Um, but before that, it definitely was like, you know, only trips to see family and like the thought of decluttering did not even make sense. So I say a lot. It's good to hear that. One of my big things is definitely that I would be upset if I had to replace it. Right. And you probably won't have to replace it, which is so good. Pam says, how do I have less Christmas decorations? I can't see how to make myself actually take action. Help. The good news is that Christmas season is coming up really quickly. And I have a couple of videos where I've done. Hopefully, I remember. If this can answer, I'm gonna write this down. I'm gonna write this down. Xmas vids. That as you're decorating for Christmas, anything that you don't put out, ask yourself, am I gonna put this out next year? Why am I hanging on to this? This is taking up space. And for me, I did like I don't know if I did any last year, but the year before I did, and I made a video about it. And I will again this year because I feel like it's just so important that we are decluttering things that we're not using that take up space. I have a lot of Christmas decorations because I love Christmas, but I'm starting to realize I don't like having that much around. So it's very valuable to do that. Um Renee says, I pack drawers and socks the same way when I travel. When I fly, I always carry one outfit for emergency use. That is a good idea. Yeah. One time I flew somewhere and they lost my bag and it was not fun. I've been holding on to crazy amounts of paper. And just yesterday, we were in a lawyer's office. They requested about 10 years of random papers. I have them. My family is so very happy that I have. That's good. We knew about our situation that we would need these papers. And I have been keeping them because I had my own identity story stolen. And that's the other thing. And I did talk about that in that video, that it's important to hang on to certain papers. Like, I don't like having a lot of papers, but I do have a binder full of important papers. I have like our wedding certificate and insurance documents. Like when we had that flood, I'm going to tell you, being able to quickly grab that insurance information was handy. The other thing is, I got a chip in my windshield just driving along a perfectly clean highway in the summer, and it was great to be able to go and call the insurance company because I had everything right where I needed it. And that's good that you knew which ones that you should hang on to. Vanessa says, I did not have any time last year to make the Christmas tree. Poor people actually have less time for fun. Yeah. And that's the thing, Vanessa. I totally agree. Is it's really, I feel like for me, I'm in a really busy season of life. And that's what I was going to say is when I said, like, when are you going to declutter? I always talk about my planner. I love it. And I schedule things in. And I have got, like, if you look at this week, I have got decluttering scheduled right there. Decluttering. I'm actually decluttering at 10 a.m. I don't usually, but I know that that day is going to have a busy afternoon. So I'm going to. And like this day, I've got other things like I'm working on the blog and I've got declutter on there and I just check it off because then I know. And I like to have a to-do list, but I also like to have I like using a planner because it helps me decide when I'm going to actually work on stuff. Okay, you guys, any more questions? This is so fun. I always love connecting with you. Make sure that you take part in the Clear It Out challenge. Post what you're decluttering, what you're working on, what areas you are doing, where you're starting, all of the things. It's going to be so fun. Yes, it's in my planner. Thank you. And you guys, Loving with Intention, Lindsay, I do want to do a shout out. So Lindsay has come on and she did a video with me and she's a relationship coach and she's amazing. So just being her friend, I have picked up on lots of things. Like I mentioned the love languages and how I know that like bringing my husband coffee is important. And the one year we didn't give my husband a birthday present, she was like, what? And I'm like, he said I didn't need to. And she's like, don't listen to him. But anyway, she has such incredible interesting things. She just put out a video this week on Sunday on her channel, Loving with Intention, about the word you don't say in your relationship. And you guys, I was like, I had already heard her say not to use this word. And then I showed this video to my husband and to my son. And then I caught myself saying it. You guys, it's crazy. You got to check it out. There's so many awesome things. And what to do instead. So helpful. So check out her channel. It's a YouTube channel and a podcast, but I love her channel. So that's a little plug because I think she's doing great things, like absolutely wonderful things. Kim says my hall closets need work. Yes. And L Truitt is excited. Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're just going to do it. You're welcome, Lindsay. I just so believe in the work that you do. I think it's so wonderful. So it's just you're changing lives. You're changing lives, you're making relationships better. And just little things that we can do ourselves. Like we don't even have to get our spouses involved. I mean, we can, of course, but even just little ways we say things. It's changed so many things for me. 10 years of banking papers, stupid appointment cards with our names, physical bills under our names, and others were requested. Ah, that's interesting. I'm a butterfly and I'm literally scared because I have no coat, no boots, no nothing. And I know I should declutter more things. Okay, but just declutter the stuff you're not using, and the things you don't like. There's a good place to start. Not but, like, do that, declutter that stuff. Yes, you maybe do need to buy a coat and some boots, but declutter the stuff you're not using. Don't hang on to stuff just in case. Time has come to shop, but I'm not ready. Ah, Vanessa, I totally get it. And that's the other thing I was going to say. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, here we go. One more thing I want to say. Oh, Lindsay, post a link to that video, please, if you're still here. So I ordered this amazing brush for curly hair, and In it, they included this gel, this sample of gel. And this morning I was tidying up and I noticed this and I was like, where should I put it? Like it had shuffled around the house for a couple of days. And then I was like, why am I holding on to this? I have a gel that I like. I don't need this sample. And I realized that quite often we, when we're buying things or we get things for free, suddenly we're like, oh, I have this thing now. I need to deal with this thing. So we are um, having to find a spot for it, or it is just shuffling around or whatever. And so what I'm suggesting is be very mindful when you're shopping, Vanessa. My wardrobe is open and empty and it still looks bad. Maybe you do need some clothes in it then. An empty wardrobe does look kind of bad because it should have some clothes, but buy stuff that you know you'll wear. Buy a coat that's warm and comfortable. For me, like I said, I had this sweater I talked about the last live, and I love the feel of it, but the color and the fit was not good. And even though it was so comfy, it just didn't actually make me feel good. So yeah, I really, really just realized that we need to be keeping stuff that we're using that we like. And when you're buying clothes, buy clothes that you like. If you get a gift from somebody, you're going to use it. You've got to um, make sure that you like it and that you're going to use it. And when I said about these samples, I was like, I don't want these samples. Actually, okay, Lindsay, you're not, I'm just going to grab the link because I don't think you heard me say that. Copy. There we go. There. There's her link. I'll put it below as well. Hi, Brenda. So, and there was actually I bought some hand cream and it came with an eye cream sample. And I was like, I do want to try this, but I left it out. I tried it that day and then I threw the rest of them away and also say no to free stuff quite often. Free stuff is ultimately going to probably just cause clutter. So I posted Lindsay's video link there and I will post it below the video. All right, everybody. My husband has just run home and I want to go say hi to him before he scoots out back to work. So it was so great to see all of you. You're welcome, Kim. You're going to love her stuff. Binge all of her videos. It'll help her channel. And she's going, it's just so helpful. So helpful. All right, everybody. Join me. Just start decluttering. And even if you're starting late, it's fine. If you start early, it's fine. Just start decluttering for the month of October for however long each day you want, but you can do it. I hope you stay